I believe this may be a discussion best suited for behind closed doors, if that is amenable. And she immediately waves her hand, and everyone leaves. Bonwo, Durza, Ito, all of their compatriots, everyone in this room just immediately leaves.
Orlo gets up and follows.
Orlo, I don't think she meant you.
Roland like grabs Orlo and pulls him back over toward the table.
Sit down.
Oh, we're supposed to sit down.
Welcome everybody to the 20th episode of Reign of the Sundered Idol. Say hello everyone finally, now that I didn't fuck it up again.
Hello, everyone. Finally, now that Duck didn't fuck it up again.
Crushed it.
Absolutely fantastic.
This is a very special episode because they will finally figure out what the fuck is actually going on in the world. And
There's no guarantee that we possess the cognitive ability to do that.
that's
You're
true.
putting a
That's
lot of faith in Orlo and Emmerin. A lot of faith.
It is now the early morning of the 7th day of Firewane. For those of you keeping track, you have successfully vanquished Lady Alhaya, Sir Roland carrying her head as you make your way back to...
It's wrapped up in a sail. There could be anything in that chunk of bloody canvas.
There
How
could
big?
be.
How big is the head?
It's large.
Emmerin's helping because he thinks that's dope as fuck. He's seen Rolly do some cool shit, but that was dope.
Roland says, "Thanks, pal."
Let's not take this relationship too far. Let's keep it to business.
Nope, calling you pal.
God damn it.
So as you guys make your way back to town, it doesn't take you very long. Ships pick you up. You're escorted back up to Bonwo's Rise, where the very interesting chair is located. We will not be
What
doing
happens when we touch it?
No!
Can I please sit in the chair?
No. Chair's under construction. No more interactions available with this object.
It's the same dialogue box keeps popping up.
Yes, exactly.
When you guys walk through, there are two familiar figures sitting there as well. Both Sorth and Avra are sat at a table.
Inside, Bonwo and a few other members of their upper level of tribe.
No, Luke.
No Luke, sorry. As you enter, they stand to greet you, and as Alhaya
Enters behind you, all of the members of
Elmenhof live here, immediately hit the ground and bow to her.
And as Roland and I are coming in through the door, Emmerin's gonna, as we're going in, at the end of the conversation, he's like, and just imagine dragons. Oh, sorry.
Roland's going to see the deference that that I guess the court of the town is paying to Lady Alhaya, and he's gonna take a cue and motion to Emmerin to set the head down, and then he's going to bow as well.
Emmerin will set the head down.
That is the end of that interaction. She she kind of waves to you, Sir Roland. Kind of gives you this. You appreciate it. Not necessary.
And it's gonna slap me in the arm. See, I told you.
This is why you never go to any garden party. You ever been to a garden party?
I would, but you never take me.
Next time, then you'll start bowing, guaranteed.
As Alhaya enters, she sees them. She pauses. She gives a very deep bow to hand off. The people that are main people, Bonwo, Eat, and Durza. They all look very confused. And she raises up, says, I don't even, but thank you for gracing us. And both of them kind of look at each other and look at her. Sorth is the one to speak up, and he says, no, it seemed only necessary. She kind of gives a knowing nod, looks back at the group. It seems as though you know them well. And they both nod. I didn't know you kept such highly esteemed company.
We get around.
Roland leans over to Emmerin and says, "Who the hell are those guys?"
Yeah, because you haven't actually met them.
We'll tell you later. We'll fill you in later.
Sorith, what's the other guy's name? Sorry, Sorith and
Ovrum.
Ovrum. Sorith, Ovrum, and he'll give a quick little curt bow to Ovrum. He has some respect for Ovrum, not so much for Sorith. A pleasure to see you both again. I'd like to introduce you to our new friend here, Sir Roland of the Fleur Blanc. He's a bit tied up the arse, but he's a hellion with a sword.
A pleasure to make your acquaintance.
And both of them turn to you and give you a small bow. And I'm glad that at least one of you manners. Pleasure to meet
you. And you as well. And here are my associates, Sir Michel d'Augustine and the Squire Eugene Lamont.
Alhaya kind of calms everybody down, sits down. He points to you. Please take a seat. I have much to discuss.
Orlo just goes and sits over at the table.
Laya will. I'll curtsy towards Ovrum and Sorith and also go sit down at the table.
Emmerin sits on the head.
Roland pats Emmerin on the back and then goes and just sits at the table.
Alhaya looks at the group. I know you have many, many questions. What can I answer?
Well, my lady, why don't we start with what happened to you? How long have you been gone?
Somewhere around 15.
And you said it was you trying to retrieve a loved one that led you to this area.
Correct. Well, this was my home initially.
I used the word area. I meant like situation.
Fair enough. I just wanted to make sure that was clarified. She is from here, but yes, she was looking for her love.
All right, and what you were looking for your love, and what led you to this situation? How did you end up? And he'll kind of, arms folded, like nod down at the head, like that.
She pauses for a moment, and she kind of looks at Sorith and Ovrum. Well, the wellspring, which, from what I can only imagine you've already had experience with, is a font of magical power. When I made my deal, the entity that I bargained with, the price that I paid, much more than I could. She took that magic, twisted it to her will, and by that also.
By the magic, do you mean like the magic of the wellspring or the magic of the deal?
Wellspring.
The wellspring. Magic of the wellspring.
And what entity was that?
She, as far as I know, by many names.
Did you give us, I don't know, 3?
The one that I knew her by was the Lady of.
When she says that, do Sorith and Ovrum have any reaction to it?
Give me either perception or insight.
16 insight.
Nat 20.
My man is on fire. Ducky.
Yes.
In Roland's religious studies, has he ever come across any mention of the Lady of the Wind as like some powerful eldritch entity?
Or is it in that history book I've been reading at all?
And I'll ask the same question, but about the Sanguine Order.
So Skelly, no. Burke and BK, both of you guys give history checks, and I will then tell Orlo what he sees. Orlo, with that nat 20, you look at the two of them, and they both look at each other, and there's a very subtle glance that they give each other, and it doesn't look like either one of them have ever heard this name before. Which, especially in this moment, is very confusing to them. It is not something that happens very often, especially when it comes to someone that can wield the type of magic that's necessary to cause this. And in that moment, you also feel slightly relieved because you, especially up to this point, have questioned a lot of their motives. This is something that for sure gives you the thought that they're not really trying to hide anything from you other than their unknowingness. They really don't know what's going on.
And what was that name?
Lady of the Wind. Do I notice their look with my 16 or no?
You see that they kind of turn to look at each other, but they keep pretty straight faces with it.
I kind of pictured it as them glancing at each other and going.
No, it's very subtle. They kind of exchange a glance that Orlo catches, obviously, the meaning behind, but they genuinely seem confused. And again, with a creature that has the capacity to cast magic of this level, for them to not know who it is widely disconcerting to both of them.
My lady, would it be possible? Does she have any other names? You said she was known by many.
That is the one that I know the most.
I rolled a 20 on a history check.
Okay. What did you get, BK?
Fuck all.
Okay.
I just banished a dice. Let's put it that way.
Was that a dirty 20 or a nat 20?
Natty 20.
So with that, you feel like that name catches you, and you sit and think about it for a minute. There are two other names that you know this person by specifically. One of them is the Eternal Thunder, and the other is the Forgotten.
What are these names for?
They're names that Lady of the Wind is also known by.
That's what I thought, but just
Go
wanted
back
to be
sleep,
sure.
Orlo.
So, Lady of the Wind, the Forgotten, and the Eternal Thunder are the names that you would have known this by. And also with that, Zam, as these names are mentioned from Cyril, and again, the two of them kind of share that same glance, and none of these names are ones that they know.
So, Rolly, do you know anything in particular about these names, or are just things that you know?
That's a great question.
So with a nat 20, you would know that, again, this is a very powerful sorceress, somebody that is not very well known. There are sightings and discussions of her as she has traveled and stopped places. She's not a bad person from everything that you know.
She's
sorry, go ahead.
mentioned in passing sometimes in the Arcana Obscura. Some of the later appendices. It's strange. It's not she's not a figure who often is malicious. It's just she's characterized as a powerful sorceress. That's about all I can recall right here.
Well, my lady, if you can add anything to that, it might be helpful in figuring out what our next steps should be.
She came to me when I was at my most vulnerable. She appeared more or less out of nowhere. She
told me she had the power to change my fate and that I could get what I wanted. She is a elegant figure. She keeps herself mostly covered in long robes. She has long white hair. She seems to be elven of some type. It's hard to say. Very well spoken, seemingly very wealthy. What I know about her, unfortunately, is much less about who she portrays herself as and what she really is, I suppose.
And what do you suppose that might be?
She's a corrupter. She's trying to steal something that is not hers. She's trying to give herself a power that does not or should not belong to her. And she kind of glances over at Sorith and Avram as she says that.
How does Sorith and Ovram react to that, if at all?
They look at you, the group of you, and Sorith looks at Lady Alhaya and says, I believe this may be a discussion best suited for behind closed doors, if that is amenable. And she immediately waves her hand, and everyone leaves. Bonwo, Durza, Ito, all of their compatriots, everyone in this room just immediately leaves.
Orlo gets up and follows.
Orlo, I don't think she meant you.
Roland like grabs Orlo and pulls him back over toward the table.
Sit down.
Oh, we're supposed to stick around.
He looks at you,
buddy.
Sir Roland, and he looks at Michelle and
Eugene.
Well, thank you.
Eugene.
And he looks at them and turns back towards you. I will extend my trust to you based on the word of these people whom I trust at this moment. Your compatriots, however, I do not wish to be rude, but I will be asking them to leave, provided that is acceptable terms.
Roland looks back at Michelle and nods and motions with his head toward the door.
Michelle kind of, you can tell he is not happy about this, but for the sake of you and what you have done to rescue him up until this juncture, he is a lot more willing to just listen and go along with things.
As he leaves, Roland leans over toward Laya and says, "Oh, he's gonna hate that."
He places his hand on your shoulder and gives it a hard squeeze as he walks out.
I'll just give Roland a little pat on the leg and kind of chuckle at him.
The doors close behind him, and you're all alone now in this large building. He waits for a moment, and then looks at the group of you, and I know that the group of you understand part of what we are. He turns to you, Sir Roland. As you look at him, he does not transform, but he shows this indomitable, massive presence that he commands. And you, knowing the things that you do, understand the nature relatively easily. If you would, give me an Arcana check.
Natural 1.
Perfect. You know that...
What are you, some kind of big shot?
You know that he is a dragon, but that is the end of what you know about him from that interaction.
Roland kind of nods his head and goes, "Ah."
Yeah, he's not just a huge prick. He's also a huge lizard.
Emmerin.
All dragons, lizards.
He just like arms folded, looks at Lion, just a big eye roll. Sorith gets it.
You see him kind of give you a side eye, and he continues on. What Lady Alhaya is referring to is our nature, I suppose. We have a very specific job that we do. You have met myself and one of my brothers, but there are 4 of us. We, in some ways or other, maintain a balance of what is and is not in this world. We have been blind to this threat, which is why we came to you in the first place. We don't know who this person is, or what she does, or how she does it. We have never dealt with anything even remotely at the level of what her power is. Even the most powerful wizards in the world hold no candle to what magic she wields, especially at this point.
Is it possible she's older than you?
Almost certainly not, no. The only thing that is older than us was passed on what she has to us. And nothing else, unless it was created specifically without her knowledge, exists outside of that.
Occupying the exact sort of blind spot that the Lady of the Wind appears to occupy.
Unfortunately,
that seems
yes.
strange.
We are unaware of anything that could possibly wield this power outside of us. One of our other brothers, he's in quite a bit of trouble due to the nature of what is happening in the world. His purpose is to watch over the magic, and with it being ripped from the world around him, it is driving him absolutely insane. Again, we're not even sure how this is possible. The only thing that could possibly be as strong as us is one of us, and there isn't another one, to our knowledge.
So are you suggesting that she's used the power of the wellspring to become like yourselves and your brothers, a dragon in themselves?
We're not sure, honestly. That is our current theory, yes. She's somehow manipulating it to siphon this magic into herself. She's clearly using vessels, such as, he gestures over to Lady Alhaya, the one that you are familiar with, but it just doesn't make any sense. What we are dealing with is something that is exceptionally powerful, and the creatures that she commands to carry out her bidding are, while less powerful than she is, looking at the group of you, she was quite a formidable foe.
How many wellsprings are there?
How many wellsprings are used, or how many are there? That's a very different question.
Both, I guess?
There are 5 main wellsprings. They're guarded by bastion cities, generally speaking.
So one in El Real, one in Elmenhof. Where are the other 3?
You actually are incorrect. There's not one in El Real. Well, not one that is normal, per se.
Didn't we see it?
We
We went down in the Sora's chamber in El Real, and we talked about the fact that there was one there.
And he told us it was a wellspring.
Correct.
This dude's
Sorry,
full of shit.
Sorry, I don't want to call you a liar, but when we first discovered that you were a dragon, you pointed out to the wall and said, "Oh, that's a wellspring." And we went, "What's a wellspring?"
It's not a wellspring that is in El Real. It's the wellspring that is in El Real. It is the main one. It is the one that feeds all of the others.
So, like the ocean to the rivers kind of thing.
Yes, exactly.
Does that mean there are 5 wellsprings other than the main one in Ariel then?
Correct.
Very good.
There's one.
So there's one in Elmenhof.
There's one in Elmenhof. The one that, and he looks directly at you, Emmerin, you would most certainly be familiar with. being that it is your home, or very near. So Cedra
Do we know that?
Cedra Valor is the magic capital of the entire world, and it is not particularly far from where you grew up.
I grew up in Bracket Court. Read the documents I send you.
No, I know
It's
that.
just
So I said it's not far from where you grew up. I was
not
letting
far from
yeah.
Bracket Court.
It is.
Would I have known that?
It's the closest city to you that you grew up near. You would definitely know that is where all of the mages are from. That is where it is a magocracy that runs it. A high magus is in charge of everything, and they are particularly unworried about the nature of what is going on.
What was the name of the city again?
Cedra Verlor. I'll send it to you.
Because Bracket Court is also a magocracy, right? Is it the same magocracy?
No, it is different.
Okay.
The one that you would be familiar with, Sir Roland, is in Rayadrax, which is northwest, roughly, from Argent. Drayskin's Citadel, which is in the north, in Bexcortaiga. It is the farthest north point in the world, as far as you know. And then
Bexcortaiga is the most northern point in the world.
That's the most northern continent part.
And then Drayskin Citadel is
the most northern location. It is it was a city at one point. Much less so now, but I'm sure you'll figure that out eventually. And then the last one is in the Morinbo Flatlands, which is east of where you guys are now, and that's the one there is Tyvermouth is the name of the city.
So we've got Elmenhof, Cedra Valor, Rayadrax, Drayskin Citadel, and Tyvermouth.
Yep. And then obviously the one that you know where you're at currently, in Elmenhof.
I didn't know there was a fucking wellspring or whatever central font of power in Cedra Valor, but I know there's a bunch of dickheads that live there.
Yes.
Oh, is that where you're from?
No, I'm from Bracket Court. That's where the assholes are from. It's very different.
What does Roland know about Rayadrax?
Give me a history check.
Hey, gentlemen's too.
I
I need to
those
start
physical
rolling my
dice?
physical die.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, the online ones are not doing you.
they're not doing well
good.
this evening.
Sorry, BK, I also misspoke. Bracker Court is a pure theocracy. It is run by the church. So what you would know, it's an extremely large city. You know that you guys deal with them relatively exclusively in terms of trade. You are relationship-wise very comfortable with them. In terms of like knowing something like the wellspring was there, it wouldn't necessarily be something that would pop up on your radar. You guys may be aware of something's existence to that nature. There is a large organization that is built around it, but as to like purposes of it, it wouldn't be something that you guys would concern yourself with, especially as the order. It's not your business really.
Roland's gonna say, I know Rayadrax. I've never spent much time there. Big city.
Very big city.
I've spent most of my time up there on the frontier.
So do we have any evidence or reason to believe that the wellsprings and all these other places have been corrupted or messed with? Is there any word other than, the horrible things happening in the rest of the fucking world? But
And Alhaya kind of pipes up and says, yes, well, relatively. While all independent shared some type of almost hive mind, I suppose, we could feel the presence of each other. We know that there is something else out there. Specifically what, I cannot tell you, but the presence is known.
so sorry, the ones that were corrupted by the Lady of the Wind all share a hive mind?
Correct.
Okay.
We know again, of each other's existence. There are conveniently one for each wellspring, so I can only imagine that that is the purpose. A guardian of some sorts, which is what I was, more or less.
So the Lady of the Wind was using you to harness the power of the wellsprings. Why?
She is drawing the magic to her.
Hmm.
She is using it for something, I am sure. I do not know what specifically. But she is taking it and pulling it into some type of storage or contraption or something of the like in order to utilize it for some purpose. Again, we do not know what, but it is all more or less maintained in one place.
You said that the timeline here, like it matches up with the Severance.
More or less, yes. The cataclysm that you guys are familiar with, while there are a lot of competing theories as to what caused it, with knowing the information that you know now, it's without a doubt that this is what is causing the chaos in the world. This is what is causing all of the craziness in terms of the growth or the destruction, or with your homeland specifically, the earthquakes and the desolation there. The people are not necessarily the people affected by it. They're just people taking advantage of what they have available to them. But the physical things with the world, yes, are undoubtedly caused by this.
So Roland, like, as he kind of realizes this, like, smiles. He's got a huge, like, shit-eating grin on his face. He goes, "Well,
Oh, I know that look. Something's gonna die.
how do y'all feel about a quest? I personally love a quest. I'm sort of a Lady Alhaya, if you'll permit. I'm sort of a questing fiend. And if we were to liberate the other patrons of the other well springs, as you have been liberated, do you suppose that we could maybe rob the Lady of the Wind of this power and maybe undo some of this insanity which has gripped the world in which we find ourselves?"
She kind of pauses for a moment, takes in what you're saying, and she looks at Sorith and Avra, shakes her head a little bit, and says, "With what I know, I have reason to believe that while things are being pulled from the world, there's no reason you couldn't put it back. I don't know that the chaos that has been wrought can be permanently repaired in all cases, but I feel like you could fix the majority of it for sure."
Oh, chaos can always be managed.